March 13th marks the date that Juan Francisco Estrada will be facing off against Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez for a second time in their career, making a historical fight and potentially a fight of the year candidate for this 2021. I know it's a little bit early to say that, but these two fighters are great and I know they will definitely be putting on a show. This fight has taken 9 years to get made. 9 long years that as an Estrada and Roman fan, I have been patiently waiting for to finally happen. Thanks to Eddie Hearn for facilitating this fight and both fighters for stepping up to it. Remember, March 13th on the Zone. Now let's get right into the talk about the fight. I think this fight, Roman Gonzalez, depending on which one shows up, will be having an extremely long night against Juan Francisco Estrada, who has been looking a little bit more pedestrian as of late, but talented nevertheless. I think his combination punching will mark the difference, and I'm leaning towards Estrada getting that win and finally avenging his loss to Roman Gonzalez. I think the fight's going to be phenomenal, and the reason why I'm leaning towards Estrada is because he is relatively fresher than Roman Gonzalez. He is a younger fighter. His style of fight is also advantageous when he faces against pressure fighters because he is a counter-punching combination fighter with good lateral movements. So I think this fight's going to be great. I know the first fight happened in 2012 when Estrada dropped down 4 pounds to challenge Roman Gonzalez for his world championship at the 108 division. However, Estrada didn't have enough to win that fight and ultimately moved back up to 112 and campaigned at flyweight and became the unified champion at 112 right after that loss to Roman Gonzalez. He did state that in the first fight he was weight drained because he had never fought at 108 and had to drop down to the division to challenge Roman, but since it was his first world championship opportunity, he didn't second guess it and dropped down to take advantage of the opportunity given. It didn't pan out, but nevertheless, we finally get the fight in a weight where both fighters are comfortable, and although they're not at the peak of their prime, they're still at the tail end of their prime, and it's gonna be a hellacious fight nonetheless. Both fighters have had great careers ever since. Like I stated earlier, Estrada became a unified champion at 112 after beating Brian the Hawaiian Punch Viloria. He defended several times, moved up to 115, but due to hand injuries and hand surgeries, sat on the bench for some time. Unfortunately, the rematch was spoken about but never got made during those times because Estrada was under a lot of turbulence with his hand issues. During that time, however, Roman Gonzalez was able to take advantage and reach the pinnacle of the sport, becoming the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world. He was wreaking havoc down there. He was taking out everybody and anybody in the lower weight divisions, and he was doing it in style. However, he came to a screeching halt when he ran into Sirisakit Sorrungvisai from Thailand. He suffered a majority decision loss in the first fight, but was brutally knocked out in the second fight. But like all great champions do, they get back up, and that's exactly what Roman did. He was able to bounce back, acquire another championship not too long ago by defeating and knocking out Khalid Yafai from the United Kingdom, and was able to defend it against Israel Gonzalez recently on the undercard of Juan Francisco Estrada versus Carlos Cuadras 2. And speaking of Juan Francisco Estrada and Carlos Cuadras 2, that was a great fight. If you guys haven't checked it out, make sure you go look for it, check it out. Estrada was down in the early rounds, but he showed a lot of grit and the heart of a champion and came back to stop Carlos Cuadras in the late rounds. So make sure to check it out if you haven't done so yet. Another thing I want to mention about these lower weight divisions is these fights between the best fighters are getting made. Isn't that crazy? When you have the top guys facing off against each other, what more can you ask for? Unfortunately for them though, they are often overlooked. For whatever reason it may be, the general audience in the United States of America don't really care for the lower weight divisions, especially below a certain threshold. So I don't know why that is. I'm thinking that from my perspective, it could be potentially that we don't produce nearly as much world level talent in those divisions. There really isn't that much for us to root for here as a nation in the United States. But the powerhouses of Japan and the Philippines and Mexico and Nicaragua and all these other countries are producing world level fighters, world class fighters, and they're going off against each other because you don't have the glitz and the glam that a lot of other weight divisions do have, like the welterweights and the middleweights and the heavyweights, where you have mega superstars and they want to be the A side, and you have arguments about the B side and splits. That doesn't exist down here. That's foreign down in these lower weight divisions. So you do have oftentimes the best pitted off against the best, because that's what gets them the biggest purses, their biggest paydays. And they're not going to let any BS come between them and their money, because they're not earning nearly as much as these higher weight division guys are. So they take what they can get and they work with what they have. These guys down here are warriors, man. They're survivors. And there is a reason why I'm always stating that we're currently undergoing a golden era. When you have 2 of the top 10 pound for pound fighters in the world right now fighting out of the 150 pound division. And then if you look at the rankings for the super flyweight division, and 4 out of the top 10 ranked fighters in that division were formerly or are currently in the pound for pound list, you know you got a good crop of fighters. Look, Roman Gonzalez was number 1 pound for pound for a while. City Saket Sorong Visay was formerly in the top 10. Currently, Juan Francisco Estrada is in the top 10, and Kazuto Ioka just cracked the top 10 as well in a lot of boxing publications' top 10 pound for pound list rankings. There's a lot of talent, and this is history in the making. What's going on down there right now is gonna be going down in the history books, so don't miss out. And this goes without saying, the rest of the champions and fighters in that division that are very talented in their own right. I mean, Kazuto Ioka just beat Kosei Tanaka, stopped him. Kosei Tanaka was freaking trailblazing to become the fastest 4-weight division champion out of Japan. But Kazuto Ioka, the first Japanese 4-weight world division champion, stopped him in his tracks, knocked him down twice with the beautifully disciplined left hook, and ultimately stopped him in the mid-rounds. On his feet, he got caught by the referee. It was brutal. It was beautiful. He took the younger fighter to school. Whole lot of respect for both guys. Great fight. Don't miss out on that. So yeah, don't miss out on the rematch neither between Estrada and Roman Gonzalez. And remember, the winner of that rematch has to face City Saket Sorong Visay. So we're talking about great fight after great fight after great fight. This is non-stop right now. City Saket Sorong Visay has beaten both fighters, and whoever wins that rematch has to face him again. So you're telling me Roman Gonzalez has the potential of finally avenging his 2 losses? Or Estrada has the potential to make it a 2-1 on the scoreboards? Come on, guys, this is great stuff going on down there. So again, if you follow it, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't follow these weight divisions, check them out, give them a shot. I'm sure you're going to be amused. And if not, I mean, it's not everybody's cup of tea sometimes. But nevertheless, great fights coming up. I can't wait. Can't wait to see how the division turns out. I can't wait how both fighters' careers end. I'm sure they're both going to make it into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Hell, Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez is already a legend in his country, and Estrada has been highly touted and considered the best fighter out of Mexico for several years now. So yeah, so there's no losses there. No matter who wins, who loses, both fighters are definitely making their own history right now. So let me know in the comment section below, guys. Are you guys excited? Who do you think is going to win the rematch? And whoever you pick to win, do you think they have enough to beat City Saket Sorong Visay in the 3rd fight? Also, why do you guys think that the general audience of the United States doesn't have much interest in those weight divisions? Do you guys agree with me that they're undergoing a golden era currently at the super flyweight division? Like always, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment section below. For this and a lot more box talk, make sure you stay tuned at the King Me Boxing channel. This is your boy Shay, signing out.